Welcome to the 13th Thangka, or 15. So the first image in this Thangka is Tsongkhapa and his disciples establishing and building his monastery, Ganden Monastery. So it said they built something like 70 buildings within a year. There was huge support right from the beginning of Tsongkhapa initiating this project, support from his monastic followers and also support from all his lay patrons in the whole area of Lhasa. So they located a mountain. It's called Nomad Mountain, about 1 day's walk from Lhasa. It's kind of a sort of C-shaped or U-shaped mountain, like a bowl. And then within that, Tsongkhapa started constructing a monastery, his disciples, all in accordance with the different monastic blessing the land, consecrating the land, making offering to the deities in the area, the landlords, and so on. So there's several prophecies from sutras and tantras about Lama Tsongkhapa's monastery, prophesying that he would predict those. So I'd like to read a few of those. The first one is from the Manjushri root tantra. It says, "In the final time, I will make supreme..." So this is Manjushri himself speaking. "In the final time, I will make a supreme offering to all sentient beings. Having gone beyond the sorrow of the world, in a land which is empty, appearing in the body of a childish one, I will engage," means a young one, a youthful one, "I will engage in the deeds of a Buddha. At that time, there will exist in the land of snows a great monastery, thoroughly delightful." So Ganden, the name of Tsongkhapa's monastery, means delightful. Ga means to delight, and Den means possessing. So that's a prophecy about Ganden Monastery. And then there's a passage from the Sutra Conferring Advice, in which it says, "In an area endowed with female yaks, a monastery called Delight will be founded, and a person named Losang will arise." So in that sutra passage, both names, Losang Drakpa is Tsongkhapa's ordained name, and Delight is Ganden is the name of Tsongkhapa's monastery. And then Vajrapani made a prediction saying, "Amidst mountains which have been blessed with initiation, on a mountainside where goddesses glide, innumerable ordained Sangha will gather. Manjushri will state which mountain this is." Right? So he's referring to and then it says, "A refuge for all of Ngari, Jang, and Kam. From there, monastic communities will spread in the 10 directions." Right, so those are 3 different passages, prophesying Tsongkhapa's monastery. Then if you look to the left, so we go around clockwise, so there you see emanation of Manjushri, image of Manjushri. So Manjushri is instructing Tsongkhapa to write several more commentaries on different texts related to the Guhya Samaja Tantra. So then further up at about 9 o'clock, you see a mandala. It's the Guhya Samaja mandala. So Tsongkhapa wrote one of his famous works called Lamp Illuminating the 5 Stages, about the Guhya Samaja Tantra, explanation of the Guhya Samaja Tantra this time. That's just been recently translated by Gavin Kilty and published by Wisdom Publications in their series of the Library of Tibetan Classics. It was just published a couple of years ago, that translation. Then right at the top of the Thangka, so in this Thangka, Tsongkhapa is aged 54 to 57. So remember, there was a prophecy before by Saraswati that Tsongkhapa would only live until the age of 57. So around the age of late 55, 56, Tsongkhapa and his disciples, they begin engaging in extensive practices to avert life obstacles to his life, in order to eradicate the conditions which would cause his life to end at 57, and in order to create causes for his life to be prolonged, right, for him to live longer. So right at the top of that Thangka, you see many different deities in the sky, many different Buddhas. So it said that Tsongkhapa, with 30 or 40 of his closest disciples, they engaged in intensive meditation retreat during this time, and they practiced all the known, all the extent, different practices for averting obstacles and or pacifying obstacles and prolonging life that are known kind of in the Buddhist world at that time. So that continues right down the right side of that Thangka. And then finally, at the lower right-hand side, there's very many wrathful Buddhist deities. So it's said that finally, Tsongkhapa experienced a lot of sickness, a lot of physical pain, suffering, weakness. At one point, for 20 days, he didn't sleep at night because the pain in his body was so great. But finally, at one point, all the obstacles were averted and the pain totally left his body. But it said during this time, his mind was totally at peace. And he had some very profound visions of Shakyamuni Buddha and other deities protecting and kind of looking after him. So finally, there's this wrathful deities at the bottom, dispelling finally all obstacles to his life. So that concludes Thangka 13.